Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome into the Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 2 Red Breakdown. A little late to this. Try to have these out generally like on the weekend of the English full set release. But, you know, we're like a week late or so hopefully you guys still enjoy. I figure better late than never. I've been diving into the sets a little bit myself, but now it's time to finally do the breakdowns. So yeah, if you guys enjoy, make sure to drop a like and subscribe as always, and let's go ahead and dive right into it. Taking a look at the red set here, though, we're going to have two, maybe three different decks that you can sort of build out of this set. The third one I wouldn't really say is perfect or ready to be built with what we have, but it's interesting to see that it's kind of headed in that direction. The first one is, of course, going to be with Yuji here, completely based around Gojo and the other Jujutsu Sorcerers, essentially playing off of sort of board flooding as well as like a rush mechanic, playing cards set to active, and a really interesting mechanic with your Gojo being placed in the removal based off his own abilities, but then getting extra effects like based off of this mini Mekamaru here. The Satoru Gojo has been sealed moment, basically all playing in together to allow you to play some extra cards for free and stuff, which is really cool. Some nice search and whatnot, and then double attack and impact. It's got some good stuff going for it. The second deck is based around Geto and all of the cursed spirits. It's a really interesting card here. You've essentially got your cursed spirits that have these main active main effects that you need 5 energy for, but hopefully you've got that. That's basically your goal. And then you're getting these really strong effects off with damage 2, removal, draw power. Not the craziest cards, but definitely some pretty solid effects. And the really interesting part about it all is when you've got those cursed spirits with active mains in your sideline, you're actually removing them with Geto's ability here to have him use those active main abilities till the end of the turn. Yeah, it's an interesting deck for sure. Some good pressure on it, as well as yeah, just good energy generation and sort of getting to the cards that you want fast. There's also a third build, which I'm gonna say is sort of heading into its own direction as its own deck, but isn't there quite yet. The Choso deck. It's really cool. So there's a lot of Choso cards that play off of Isos and Kechizus in your sideline and having them on the field and stuff, as well as the actual cards themselves doing some pretty solid things, again, with Chosos and all of his brothers. And there's even this non-existent memories card here, which actually includes Yuji. They're kind of playing into their own deck here, and again, you can include Yuji in it, which I feel like you could do in its own thing, just Choso, Yuji, Choso's brothers, well, all of them, you know, getting some draw power, impact, pretty strong moves off. It's just how the actual Choso cards work at the moment. They don't include Yuji. So, and Yuji wants Jujutsu Sorcerers at the moment. So, I don't know. I could see in the next set of Jujutsu Kaisen them kind of tying this deck together and it being able to play really well. But it is definitely an option for sure, especially with this event card sort of tying all of them together here. So yeah, diving into the Jujutsu Sorcerer deck here, are based around our main raid card, Yuji. He's got a really interesting raid when attacking ability that I really like. So once per turn when attacking, if you have 3 or more other Jujutsu Sorcerer affinity cards on your field, and generally if you're raiding this card out and attacking with him, there's a good chance you're fulfilling this. 3 others is not that crazy. But yeah, so you're either going to get impact when attacking, or you can reduce this character's BP by 2 until the end of the turn. If you do, switch it to active. So essentially what that means is when you're attacking with this Yuji, during the attack, before your opponent blocks, before anything like that, before you're swinging with the actual 4K, you get to decide in that moment if you're swinging with a 4K impact or if you're going to be swinging with a 2K and then re-standing in order to swing with a second 2K. Could be really, really strong if your opponent's like guaranteed blocking a 2000 or if they're guaranteed blocking even a 4000. And then the Black Flash special that sort of ties into the Yuji here is a 4-cost 2 action point. If you have Yuji on the field, it's just a 1 action point to play, but it is a 5000 or less removal from your opponent's front line. You get to sideline them, and then if there are 2 or more characters with 4000 on your opponent's front line, you get to choose a Jujutsu Sorcerer affinity with 4K or more on your front line. It gains 2K till the end of the turn. So what's really, really nice about this secondary effect here is you can essentially use that Black Flash ability on Yuji before he does either of his 2 attacks if you're going with the double, and then that Black Flash is allowing him to swing twice with 4Ks. So that could be really, really strong. You can also use the Black Flash to power up a weaker Jujutsu Sorcerer. I love this Black Flash special. It plays so well into just the whole JJK universe and how these cards work. It's really cool. So yeah, there's your Black Flash special with the Yuji. I think it's going to be a really strong card, especially because he has 2 options when attacking: impact for late game or double attacks to pressure your opponent. So yeah, you never know what exactly your opponent's swinging in with this Yuji. Really nice raid target, of course, so you can play it out of life. And this is a good card to play out of life because you get to use these effects whenever you're attacking. You're not wasting them on defense. And then looking at the other Yujis in the set here, we're going to have our 0-cost generic add to hand trigger 1500 so that we can raid on top top of it later if we need him. We've also got a really strong looking 2-cost Yuji. He doesn't have a trigger, but he's got Step and Nullify Impact, as well as a 3k BP. Then we've got our color Yuji for the set here, 3-cost, 1 action point. Active main, front line, once per turn. He's going to gain all the abilities listed below until the end of the turn if your opponent has the required number of characters with 4,000 or more BP on their front line. So that's another thing you're going to see in a lot of these Jujutsu Sorcerer cards, is you're wanting your opponent to have 4Ks or more, multiple of them, and then you get more effects. Or I guess if your opponent's pressuring you with a lot of 4K bodies or higher, you're getting more effects, which is really nice. So yeah, if they have 2 or more on the front line, this Yuji is going to be a 4K when attacking, again, until the end of the turn. Or if they have all 4 4Ks, he's going to be a 4K with impact as well. He's also a double energy generator, so this is just a really, really nice Yuji to have in your deck. He could be a late game finisher, he could just be some extra pressure if your opponent's pressuring you, and again, just the energy generation rating on top of him. This is a great color trigger to have. Red color trigger sucks. Sideline a 2,500 or less on your opponent's front line, that hardly ever happens, but you never know. The other main card you're probably going to be running in your Jujutsu Sorcerer deck here is going to be this Satoru Gojo. There's also another Gojo that I think is really nice to have. Again, because a lot of this, we'll dive into it after, is this mini Mekumaru card, where you're reducing the cost of this by 3 if you have a Gojo in your removal, which is really nice. So, real quick, diving into the Gojo himself, he's a 4-cost, 1 action point. He has straight up impact. However, he has this really interesting effect. So at the end of your opponent's attack phase, so after they've attacked, if there are 2 or more characters with 4K or more, or a Suguru Geto on your opponent's front line, you place this Gojo into your removal, straight up. But then you get to look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal up to 2 Jujutsu Sorcerer affinities that are not Gojo, add them to your hand, and then place the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck. So yeah, this Gojo's putting himself in the removal, which you do kind of want at times for that Mekumaru card, as we'll look at, as well as allowing you to get like a little search off. Now, I'm not going to lie, the tiny bit of playtesting I've done with this deck, it sucks. This Gojo is very unfortunate. Oh, he's also a 5K add to hand trigger. So if he lives, he's an insane card to have out for a 4-cost. However, all your opponent needs to do is have 2 4Ks, and then he's getting removed. Even if this Geto's on your energy line anywhere on the field, so he's not safe. But there's been multiple times where I'll do this search and like, it isn't what I don't get what I want, or it's Gojo's, so I can't grab him. So that's just a really unfortunate part to this Gojo. But the bright side is he's insanely broken. 5K impact. If your opponent is not putting out 2 4K BPs, or if they're getting removed, if they're ending their attack phase with any less than the 2, and you get to keep this Gojo, very strong to have. He's also blocking too as the 5K, so what's really cool about this is since it's at the end of your opponent's attacking phase, you do get to block with the Gojo as well, so it could be really good defensively. But real quick, before we look at the other Gojo, because we do have a really good second one, we have this mini Mekumaru card, which I believe will be pretty standard to run. I think it's really strong. It's a 5-cost, 1 action point. You can only have 3 of this card in your deck, even though you can have 4 total of most cards. If you have a Gojo card in your removal, you get to reduce this card by 3 energy cost while in your hand, so it only costs 2 to play. And then draw a card, play up to 2 red cards with 3 or less required energy, 1 action point, Jujutsu Sorcery affinity from your hand, set to resting on your field. So yeah, pretty wild. This card allows you one action point. You get to draw and you get to play 2 bodies, hopefully for free, anywhere on your field. So the rush potential in this deck is insane. It's just a matter of actually hitting the cards in the proper order, etc. Because this being a 5-cost is kind of wild, at least for early game, and having like the 3s in hand. I don't know. This could be a really, really strong card, though. Again, especially because you're reducing it by 2 with that Gojo in the removal. And then as far as getting Gojos into your removal, we have a second option here. 4 energy, 2 action point Gojo. This one's pretty cool. He comes out set to active. The other one doesn't. This one's a damage 2, and at the end of your opponent's attacking phase, you straight up put this Gojo into your removal. Again, he's a 5k BP with a draw trigger, so great looking card. As long as your opponent isn't removing them with their own special ability or whatever, which I don't know if they would want to. I guess them sidelining your Gojo so that then you don't get to put them in your removal could be unfortunate. But at the same time, your opponent might not want to spend points, action points, removing a card that's going to remove himself, So you being able to get a damage 2 off, you being able to get a 5k block off, really, really nice. Only unfortunate thing is this Gojo is disappearing at the end of your opponent's attack phase, period. We have a red Nobara card, 4 energy, 1 action point. This card says, raid when played, draw a card, then place 1 card from your hand into the sideline. However, if you place a Jujutsu Sorcery affinity card into your sideline with this ability, you get to choose 1 character on your opponent's front line with the same required energy amount, or base BP as that card, and it'll straight up lose 3000 BP till the end of the turn. So this could also pair really well with the Yuji. If they have that one blocker for your double 2k attack with Yuji, this Nobara can boom, get them lowered so that they're not going to be blocking anymore. So yeah, that could be a really good combo. It's just a matter of you're having to trash a card. I mean, it's a draw trash, to be fair, at the end of the day, so it's not bad at all. It's just, again, you have to match the same required energy amount or base BP as your target. And then she also has an active main once per turn. You can sideline a card from your hand to choose another Jujutsu Sorcerer card on your field, and it'll gain 5k until the end of the turn. 500 BP till the end of the turn. I wish it was 5k. So that could be really strong. Again, just powering up your Yuji with this Nobara so you don't have to always rely on the Black Flashes to get stronger double attacks off. I think that's like kind of what your goal is going to end up being. She's got the raid trigger, of course, 4k BP. And then real quick, skipping down the line, well, we've all obviously got our 0-cost Nobara here. She's going to be a active trigger, 2k. After that, though, we've got a really nice looking Nobara that, again, could combo really well with the raid here. So she's a 1-cost, 1 action point, no trigger, but when played, you get to choose a Jujutsu Sorcerer on your field, gains 500 till the end of the turn. But if your opponent has 2 or more characters with 4k on their front line, you get 1500 instead. So you can essentially, with this Nobara and the raid Nobara, trash a card, play this one. You essentially get to make that Yuji, boom, have a double 4k attack, if that's what your game plan is, and you don't have Black Flash in hand, or you don't want to use the Black Flash as a special, but you still want the strong double attack. I assume that's where this whole Nobara concept is coming into play with her buffing and reducing. A really, really cool combo. I really like it. Let's see. Personally, I'm running this card in almost every deck at this point because every set has this type of card. 2 energy, 1 action point. If this card is set to active, it's generating double energy. He's also another Jujutsu Sorcerer, Mr. Inumaki here. So yeah, this is a great card to have. I think, again, a really good staple in a lot of decks, period, just for the double energy generation. But in this deck, it's going to be really nice. Pretty standard Ino here, 1 energy, 1 action point, draw trigger, 2500. Again, more Jujutsu Sorcerers to flood the board with that mini Mechamaru card if you do have it. And then we have 1 energy, 1 action point, Wee Wee. I think that's how you say it, right? In the dub. And then, yeah, this guy's going to be your generic, when played, either bounce back a 1-cost or less from your field to your hand, or you have to return this card to your hand, but he's a double energy generator. Not a terrible card. You're usually like throwing in him and or this card because every set has them. But returning a card to your hand never feels great. Unless you're getting more when played abilities off with it, could be good. And then we've got Atsuya here, 2 energy, 1 action point. This card's cool. This character cannot be chosen by abilities on your opponent's characters with 4k or more BP. So if your opponent has, yeah, standard removal, I don't know, the blue Yuji bounce back, he can't target this card. So that's nice protection to have. He's also got the active trigger, 3k BP. 1 energy generation. I think this could be a good card to have. Again, that Jujutsu Sorcerer affinity, dude, the more the better, especially ones that are 3 or less for that Mechamaru card. And then we've got a really nice looking Nanami here. I mean, again, I'm on the fence about it, but I mean, you probably want to throw in at least a couple of these guys. 4 energy, 1 action point. When sidelined, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal 1 Yuji among them, add it to your hand, place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck, and then if you added a card to your hand, sideline a card from your hand. He's got an active trigger as well, which is always nice to have. 4k BP. Just keep in mind you're not playing this card with the Mechamaru necessarily. You can search him with a Gojo though, correct? Yeah, he doesn't have a limit for the Jujutsu Sorcerers you grab. So yeah, so this Nanami could be a really nice card to have, especially if you're like, we're really Yuji focused here, right? So getting to those Yuji cards fast as hell and having a 4k BP character to search, even better. So not bad at all. And then we've got 0-cost, 1 action point, Nullify Impact Panda. I mean, Panda could be good. Nullify Impact 2k. If you want a 0, this is not a bad option. Just the no triggers can be unfortunate. Oh, and I totally forgot that we have this Megumi here, who is actually really, really good. Again, pairs fantastic with the Yuji. I'd say even better than the Nobara because it's once per turn. So diving into it, 3 energy, 1 action point Megumi. He's got an active main if on the front line once per turn. Choose another Jujutsu Sorcerer, so he can't choose himself on your field. It'll gain 500 till the end of the turn. If your opponent has 2 or more characters with 4k BP on their front line, you get to give them 1500 instead. So yeah, with this Megumi and the Nobaras, you could easily combo your Yuji back up to 4k. So I think that's going to be your consistent plan with this. He's also going to be a 3-cost, so you could play him with that Mechamaru card. Really, really nice Megumi to have, I think. And he's at 3500. That little 500 can make a big difference. And then we do have also a 0 cost 1 action point Megumi. This is a great card to have in most decks. One play draw card, trash a card with a draw trigger as well. Love these cards. So I'm probably going to slap that card in there. And then our last Jujutsu Sorcerer, I believe, 5 energy, 1 action point Meme. She's a damage 2, and then during your turn, she's also a 5k. So no trigger, but you know, if you ended up squeezing a couple of these cards into your deck, not a bad idea at all. The damage 2 could be pressure, especially if she's active with your set to active Gojo damage 2, and you're just swinging with damage 2s out of nowhere. Could be strong. But yeah, that is essentially the Jujutsu Sorcerer cards. I personally think this red Jujutsu Sorcerer deck is going to be really, really strong, especially if you're getting your Yujis online quick, if your opponent can't take care of like this Gojo, and if your searches are hitting, you know what I mean? If you're able to take advantage of this mini Mechamaru card sooner than later, the pressure with this deck could be very, very strong. So yeah, I've got high hopes for red Jujutsu Sorcerers. And then, yeah, diving into the Geto deck here, the Cursed Spirits deck. Our main card, of course, is going to be this 5 energy, 1 action point Geto. So he's got so this is not a raid card, keep in mind. He does have an add to hand trigger, so when you play this card, he is rested. Active main once per turn. You get to place 2 red Cursed Spirit affinity cards without raid. You don't have any raids, so that's fine. And with different names from your sideline into your removal. And this character is going to gain all of the active main abilities from those cards placed into your removal until the end of the turn. So what you're essentially doing is taking the active mains from who are going to be your main 3 here. Jogo's going to be a big one. Hanami is going to be a pretty solid one to choose from. And and you know what? I didn't even think about this. Dagon's also going to be really good too because he's a Cursed Spirit, active main. You can only activate this ability if you have 5 or more. You get to trash a card and then set this card to active. I was like, why would you ever use this with Dagon? But no, you use this with the Geto. Okay, nice. So you can play him out set to active. So yeah, with this Dagon's ability, you can play the Geto set to active. Anyways, those 3 as well as Mahito's active main abilities. So those are going to be your 4 that you're basically trying to get into your sideline. Maybe use them on the field and then remove them from your sideline after. You've also got cards that you'll see with these Getos where you're straight up sidelining cards from your deck. So could be really interesting to see how fast you get these abilities. But that's nice. I was wondering when Dagon's ability is going to be good right here. Anyways, yeah, so he's a 4K. And yeah, like I said, we'll dive into the actual active mains as we go through the Cursed Spirits. But real quick, we've got these Getos here. Again, they're not required, but you probably want to run them just from their abilities. But they are not raid targets since we're not raiding the Geto. 0 energy, 1 action point. When played, look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Place any number of Cursed Spirits or the Cursed Womb Death Paintings, affinity cards among them into your sideline, and then place the remaining cards on the top of your deck in any order. With the active trigger 1500 BP, not a bad 0 at all to have, especially because you're getting cards into your sideline quick. You get to put them back on your deck too if you want to keep them, so very nice, dude, honestly. I really like that Geto. 2 energy, 1 action point. When played, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Add up to 1 Cursed Spirit or Cursed Womb Death Painting affinity card among them to your hand. Place the remaining cards into your sideline. So keep in mind, whatever you're not taking, you're straight up sidelining with this, which could be good. And then if you did add a card to your hand, you also sideline a card from your hand. Active trigger, 2500 BP. So this Geto, if you're trying to get cards just straight up into your sideline so that you could then use those active mains this turn, this Geto could be really, really strong. Now, taking a look at the Cursed Spirits here, man, Dagon, I was wondering when this would be good, and I haven't used this deck too much, but now it makes sense. So Dagon is our 0, 1 action point, Cursed Spirit, active main if on the front line once per turn. All of them are going to say this. You can only activate this ability if you have 5 or more energy generation, so keep that in mind. You can only use all of these active mains if you're generating 5 or more energy, even after Geto has them. This guy says, though, you may place a card from your hand to the sideline. If you do, switch this character to active. So with Geto, since we're choosing up to 2 active main abilities from our sideline to use, we could take his as well as one of these other ones, which are really good, and be able to use Geto the turn we play him. That makes sense. That's really good. Yeah, and then so yeah, I almost guarantee all these active main Cursed Spirits are going to be 4-ofs. There's no question. Anyways, we have 3 energy, 1 action point Hanami. This card looks strong. Double energy generator too, which we need in this, right, for the 5. Active main if on the front line once per turn. So they're all going to say that. This character gains 1k until the end of the turn, making Hanami a 4k. Or this character gains 1k during your opponent's next turn, making Hanami a 4k defender. I can see this being really, really nice to have as options. Again, even with Geto, you could give these effects to Geto, make him be able to block as a 5k or something the following turn. Really, really nice. No trigger, but it is what it is. Actually, do any of them have triggers? Oh wow, Mahito's the only one and it's a color trigger. That's crazy. And then taking a look at Jogo here, he's going to be 4 energy, 1 action point, active main, front line once per turn. If you're generating 5 or more, choose one of the following. You're either going to get damage 2 until the end of the turn, or this character gains, when attacking, you may place 2 cards from your hand into the sideline. If you do, choose a character with 2k or less on your opponent's front line and sideline it. So when attacking, you can straight up remove one of your opponent's cards with 2k or less. Yeah, considering there's not many options, or if any, outside of Jogo to reduce your opponent's BP, yeah, targeting a straight up 2k with that isn't going to be amazing. But if your opponent's trying to block with some chump cards, some really small 2Ks or lesses, that's going to be really nice to get rid of them. But you do have to sideline 2 for it. So yeah, I think the damage 2 is going to be a lot nicer with Jogo. The last Curse Spirit active main ability that you can get, though, with Geto is going to be from Mahito here. 5 energy, 1 action point. All the same things, choose one of the following. You're either going to get impact till the end of the turn, so obviously you can straight up give your Getos damage 2 and impact, because remember, you can only do, they have to have different names, so you can't stack these. I don't know why you'd give them 2 impacts that don't stack, but regardless, you can only, yeah, impact 1, damage 2, that could be a good combo. You also have another one here that isn't terrible. You may sideline 1 character on your field other than Mahito. If you do, draw 2 cards and then trash a card. So some really good draw potential. You do have to sideline a card on your field, but again, could be very worth it for the draw power. He's also your color trigger for red, which again, sideline to 2,500 or less. Hopefully that helps you. It could come in clutch at times. And then he's a 4k BP, 1 energy generator. So yeah, so that is the active mains, cursed spirits that you're going to be able to use. Again, Dagon is going to be really nice on top of all these. And then just in general, like comboing these abilities are going to be really, really strong. The only thing I'm really skeptical about with these cursed spirits is if you're not using this Dagon ability, you are not playing cards set to active ever. So just keep that in mind. And since you need this guy's a 5 cost, and I believe the Geto's a 5 cost, it's not super easy to play cards on your energy line to keep them safe and then push them up. So just keep that in mind. I hope this deck doesn't struggle with how little set to actives it has. Like in this game, if you're raiding, you're doing great. Yeah, and considering like we do have this raid Choso, which could be great, it just sucks that we can't use his active main and stuff. With Geto. Like, yeah, anyways, I hope this deck doesn't struggle too much with not being able to raid / play cards set to active. But with this Geto and Dagon's ability and stuff, I can see it doing some stuff. I've also got a really, really good sight card for this deck. It's the 3 energy, 1 action point subway platform. It's a double energy generator, which we need. Active main, switch to resting, place the top card of your deck into your sideline straight up. This card also has active main, switch to resting, sideline this card. And then you get to place 1 Geto card or 1 Cursed Spirit or Cursed Womb Death Painting Affinity card from your sideline to the top of your deck. So it's got a draw trigger too, so it's got some like revive potential as well, especially if like you just have the energy and you don't need this card anymore to put the Geto back on top of your deck. I mean, yeah, you can just keep cycling cards with this, which could be really nice, as well as just getting the constant sideline off in order to sort of fill the sideline with these active mains that you want to use. And then you do have a special, obviously, for the Cursed Spirits deck. It's going to be the Prison Realm here. 5 energy, 2 action points. But if you have a combined total of 2 or more Cursed Spirits or the Cursed Wombs affinities on your front line, or if you just straight up have Geto on your front line, this card is a 1 action point. Choose 1 character on your opponent's front line with 5k or less BP, place it into the removal, and then if you place a card with exactly 5,000 BP into your opponent's removal with this ability, you get to draw as well. So, pretty good special. I mean, you're straight up removing cards with it, as we saw with the Hollow Purple card in the yellow set 1. Just straight up removal off of special can be very nice, especially when there's decks like the Megumi deck and quite a few other decks that play off of the sideline, reviving cards or having characters in the sideline, etc. Yeah, being able to remove them could be good. Now, keep in mind, if we remove our opponent's red Gojo, we might be helping them, etc., etc. But either way, this is a good card. Very, very, very good card. And getting an extra draw off could be nice. And then, yeah, we do have one other Cursed Spirit that you might want to run just for the extra generation if you need it. 0 energy, 1 action point, Kogai. Yeah, he's the active main, switch to resting once per turn. He's going to generate 2 energy till the end of the turn, but then at the end of your main phase, you sideline him. So just keep that in mind. Could be good because we need that 5 to get effects off, you know. The last mini set of cards that, again, they're the Cursed Womb death paintings that you definitely could throw into this deck. I mean, I think I'm going to use like this Choso at least in there. I just don't know about the raid, man. I'd hate for him to get in the way when we want Cursed Spirits with active mains that could pop. But regardless, we do have another little subset of cards here, which again, I could see in Volume 3 of JJK, maybe around the release of Season 3, which I have no idea what's going to happen in that. Maybe this little card here with that subset of the Cursed Spirits, or the Cursed Wombs, Yuji and his brothers. Maybe that could actually be something. I've not read the manga, so no spoilers. I hope they're actually brothers. Such a dope moment. But anyways, real quick, just taking a look at the cards here. Our main little raid for it, Choso. He's a when played 4 energy, 1 action point Choso. When played, you draw. Very nice. And then play up to 1 Iso or Kechizu card from your hand, set to resting on your field. So he's got some board flood potential for sure. And then active main if on the front line once per turn. If Iso and Kechizu are on the same line, all of them gain... All Iso and Kechizus gain 500 until the end of the turn. And then as you'll see with these cards here, we've got Iso, 3 energy, 1 action point. When attacking, if you have the other 2, I'm not going to keep saying the names, out of these 3 on the same line, you draw a card, then place 1 card from your hand to the sideline, and this card's going to get 500. So if you want, you could just straight up make him a 4K from 35 with this Choso, or you can use his ability to make him a 4K. So this is a nice little 4K when attacking, essentially. Then we have 2 energy, 1 action point, Kechizu. When attacking, if you have the other 2 on the same line, draw, trash, give this card 500. And again, it's when attacking, so you get to use that multiple times a turn. And that's essentially what you're doing, is you're trying to get all 3 of the brothers out at the same time in order to get extra buffs off, mostly BP buffs, but still pretty good. And then we've got this Choso here, 1 energy, 1 action point. When played, you get to place up to the top 2 cards of your deck into the sideline, and then you get to add either a Iso or Kechizu card from your sideline to your hand, and if you did, sideline another card, which, I don't know, I mean, I guess that's not terrible. You're not sidelining 3, you're only sidelining 2, air quotes, because you're reviving 1. But yeah, this guy will essentially help you find your brothers quicker. We've also got the generic 0 energy, 1 action point Choso. Add this card to hand, 1500, so we can raid on top of him later. And then the big card here, the one that'll tie it all together, even if you want to throw in Yuji as well, we've got the 3 energy, 1 action point, non-existent memories. It says here, choose up to 1 of each of the following characters on your front line: Choso, Iso, Kechizu, and Yuji. They each gain 1000 BP till the end of the turn. If you chose a combined total of 2 or more of them, including Choso, as long as Choso's one of those chosen ones, the Choso chosen with this ability will get impact until the end of the turn. Very nice. Also, if you chose a combined total of 3 or more characters, including Choso, you get to draw a card. So, man, obviously you don't have to include Yuji in this. You could just try to get this off with Kechizu, Iso, and Choso, but it's just crazy. Like, there's so much that there's not enough from these cards, the Cursed Wombs death paintings. There's not enough in this set to make a whole deck on its own. But, you know, they're also doing their whole own thing that I don't know if I'm going to try to mix them in with Geto. I mean, we definitely could, but yeah, very interesting. I'm excited to see if this deck becomes something in the next set, because I'll run it, dude. I love Choso and Yuji. The brother combo, dude. Oh, man, that's going to be freaking awesome. But yeah, that's literally it. That's the entire set there. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Hopefully this gives you some good insight, some good explanation, maybe reminders of cards that you might have forgotten, or if you're getting into the card game for the first time and you wanted to sort of hear a breakdown on what they're doing, some insight on how they're looking. Me personally, I'm very excited to run the Jujutsu Sorcerer deck. I might even have some fun with just making a little rough draft Choso Yuji deck and see what happens, because this card is just so interesting. Non-existent memories. It looks really, really good. But yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Let me know what decks you're going to be running. Let me know if this was helpful to you. Hopefully it was. And if you did enjoy at the very least, make sure you drop a like to let me know. Sorry about the delay on all this. If you guys didn't know, I was moving apartments, taking care of all kinds of stuff, life doing its thing, but internet's finally on. We're finally set up. We're mostly moved in. Yeah, I'm ready to grind, We got some Union Arena content on the way. So appreciate the support. Appreciate y'all bearing with me. And yeah, catch you guys in the next one. Peace.